Hey, Margie here. We're already 2 weeks into 2022, and so many of us have intentions, have resolutions that we've created, but we just don't know what action to take or what we can do so that we achieve our desires this year. So I wanted to spend a little time today talking about this. But before I get started, I wanted to let everybody know that this week is the week of I'm hosting the Natural Approaches to Osteoporosis and Bone Health Summit. And there's over 45 speakers sharing amazing information on exercise, on root causes of bone loss, as well as stress reduction and things we can do. So it's really full of just great information, and it's free. So I strongly recommend you go over there. And if you only have a little time, wait on the podcast because this will be here and go over. And you can just go to tinyurl.com/bone health summit. And so that's, so don't miss this because there's just so much amazing information. And it's sort of like a smorgasbord. You can pick and choose what you like. But let's get back to today's podcast on taking action. And I have a Happy Me, Happy Life program. And once a month, it's a happiness class. And once a month, we all get together and we talk about topics and I discuss this topic. And so what I want to do to make things easier is actually share my slides. And we're just going to go through this briefly because it's powerful. And I want to give you tools so that this can be your best year yet. So let's get started. First of all, the number one, not the number one, but something very important is to plan ahead. If you want something to happen, what you can do is plan on a weekly basis. Like, what do you want your week to look like? Because when you don't have a plan, you can just sort of go through life haphazardly and you don't have something to follow through. You're not accountable. So you want to make your action plan, whatever it is. And there's many ways to do that, but you need a plan. So that's number one. Here are options. Options is you can have a write-in. Some people still like the old write-in planners where they write it in. You can have it on your calendar, on your phone. You can have notes that every day you go to, or you can have a to-do list. There's many different, there's apps, there's all sorts of great things, but none of them will work unless you find what works for you. What I have something that I write my to-do list, I can check it off and it's on my phone. So every day I see what I need to do, long-term and short-term. But then key is to check it off, check it off. And for some people, you need accountability. This is key. And for a lot of people who just haven't made progress, when they decide they're going to enlist a buddy or work with someone on some goal, whether it's exercise, whether it's meditation, if you have someone you say, you know what, every day I'm going to let you know that I did this, or, at the end of the week, you're just somewhere where you're checking it off and have some accountability to someone, to a group, it makes a big difference and it makes it happen. The next thing is you need a strong why. Why is it important that you accomplish this? Or what is your why behind it? And I love these questions. I learned them from Christy Whitman in The Desire Factor. So here's what you can ask yourself. What do I believe the fulfillment of this desire will allow me to have? Who do I believe the fulfillment of this desire will allow me to be? And how will this fulfillment of this desire cause me to feel? And so if this has to do with bone health, think about it, that you're on this great exercise program, you're feeling strong, empowered, whatever it is, you want to ask these questions, because if you have this why, it's going to make a big difference in your motivation to really perform the action. So ask these questions, very powerful. Then you also have a bounce back strategy because, oftentimes you set yourself up for a cycle, to do something, let's say the exercise program, and then, you just don't do it. So instead of instead of beating yourself up, which is one of the things I always talk about, you have to be kind to yourself. Instead of that, basically just give yourself a bounce back. Not a problem. Okay. There's a reverse gear in a car. No problem. And the next day you go back to your plan. Again, allow yourself that. And don't be hard on yourself, and always treat yourself like you would treat a family member, a best friend. If you're not being kind to yourself, we need self-love. That's the basis of everything. So I think it's important moving forward that, okay, move on and be kind. That happened. Let's go forward from there. And I love this feeling forward. This is also something I learned from the desire factor, and something that I've always practiced. When you give, I'm just going to read this because it's so powerful. When you give energy and positive attention to something in the process of becoming, you are actually training your mind to reach beyond the circumstances you are currently living in, to generate the feeling state of the essence of your desire. To unleash your full creative potential, you need to focus forward beyond what currently is and toward the reality that is in the process of coming into being. Right. So we don't want to focus, here now, I'm not exercising, I'm overweight, I'm eating terrible. Don't go there. Put yourself in the energy of who you're becoming. And I also like to imagine it's already happened and how great you feel, and just throw that out into the universe. And then expectation of your desired outcome. And these are some good quotes. Desire connects you with the thing desired, and expectation draws you into your life, by Dr. Raymond Holliwell. And then expectation becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, Robert Rosenthal. And that's true. You just expect it to happen. Don't even just go there. Just expect it to happen, put it out there, visualize it. And that is what creates empowerment. And the last thing that I find helpful is, and this is from Albert Einstein, that is this a friendly universe? Sometimes you think, oh, everybody's out to get me, this will never happen. But if you just think this is a friendly universe, it can really make a big difference. And this is one of his quotes. If we decide the universe is a friendly place, then we will use our technology, our scientific discoveries, and our natural resources to create tools and models for understanding the universe, because power and safety will come through understanding its works and its motives. So the key thing is this, and you don't have to take my word for this, just try it. If you believe the universe is out to support you, number one, and number two, adopt this perspective for a few weeks and see how different you feel. And so those are my tips, but I also think that, stopping for a minute and visualizing let's all do it. Let's all do it for a minute on the podcast. So we're just going to stop for a minute and let's have a picture. Close your eyes and let's put a picture up in your mind of one of your desires, one of your intentions that you would like to happen this year. And what I want you to do is see yourself in the picture, almost like in a movie, that it's happened. It's already done. Let's take it a year from now. It's now, in January 2023, and it's already occurred. And feel how good you feel. Who are you with? What are you doing? And just assume it's already happened and you're living in your desired outcome. And just fill yourself with that thought. Okay, so these are just some little tips to help you, because I really want to give people that's the purpose of the podcast. I have these great guests who come on and really give you all sorts of strategies. But sometimes if you don't implement them, don't figure out your why, don't have an action plan, and just, it's sort of like a car that's sitting in a driveway and it doesn't move. You're not going to get anywhere. And so one other thing that is very important is just follow the breadcrumbs. You don't need to know the whole plan. Sometimes, guests have an action plan to what you're going to do, but sometimes you can just take step one and that will lead you to step two. You don't need to know what's happening 5 years from now. You just follow the breadcrumbs. And oftentimes you're guided, with your intuition, what to do as well. So visualize what you want, feel into it. And I think there's so many possibilities, and I look forward to hearing from everybody. And so, as I said, for those of you who haven't registered for the summit and are interested to learn absolutely, what you can do to help your bones, which is part of the podcast, but different than the podcast, I have 45 experts on the summit and lots of other material as well. So it's just a great place to really just gain some more information on bone loss, on, as I mentioned, root causes, and on the exercises. I have the physical therapist. So Sherry Betts, who's been on the podcast, she's demonstrating the exercises. Sarah Meeks demonstrates a few things. And let's see who else. Oh, Joan Pagano, who's also been on the podcast, demonstrates some amazing balance exercises. And Robin Eisen, she's also a physical therapist and Feldenkrais practitioner. She shows you how to use some different Feldenkrais than we've done on the podcast to really open up your posture and alignment, and you'll feel so good after that. And Shiroko Sokic, Dr. Shiroko Sokic, she combines, regular traditional medicine with Chinese medicine. And so she goes and talks about kidney energy and actually does some processes with us, as well as Deborah Wayne does an energy process. So there's a lot of processes on the summit. Anyway, check it out. Again, you can just go to, the link will be below, but you can just also go to tinyurl.com/bone health summit. And again, put these practices into what we talked about today into your life. And I love to hear how it's going, what works for you, as well as if you have other things, as well. Either get on Facebook or send me an email or reply to this podcast and let me know so we can share those as well. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you, hopefully at the summit and as well on the next episode.